your butt or anything, but you're one of the smartest guys I think in crypto, and you always have some really good insight and analysis to share with us. So I'm really glad that you're here, man.
Well, appreciate all the nice compliments.
And I love the beard. I just love that beard. Guys, I think in crypto, sexy.
I am going to tell my wife. I'm going to take a
and
recording.
And you always have some really good. She'll get jealous.
No, she needs to know that somebody likes my beard. Is really what it is.
Oh, does she not?
No, not a fan.
How is she not a fan? I don't get that.
Yeah, neither do I.
Well, fair enough. Well, she'll come around one day, I imagine. Our other guest is on the line with us. It's Ken Bosak. You know him from his YouTube channel by the same name, and he is here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories. Wait, that was more of a Bill Clinton impression. I was trying to do what's his name from King of the Hill. Do you do a better King of the Hill impression than I just did?
No, I don't. People say that's where it came from, but it literally just happened. I do an awful impression.
Oh, so like you just kind of came up with that phrase on your own, and then you realized after the fact, wait a minute, it parallels what what's his name from King of the Hill says?
Yes, yeah. I just said it one day walking around. I made my first YouTube video about crypto, and I walked out, said, "Hey, how goes it? I'm here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories." And I said, "Have a day," and all of those little slogans kind of came out of nowhere on my first video, and it kind of stuck with me all the way through.
That's so funny. Well, did it at least land you like a sponsorship by Mike Judge or anything?
That would be awesome. If they ever do a cryptocurrency related animation or series, I hope I have some kind of cameo.
He lives here in Austin.
Oh, he does? I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys got to have him on to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories.
Oh, you mean Mike Judge? Yeah, I think
Mike Judge.
Ken. I was like, I didn't think he did, but okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I got kicked out of his director's chair when I was in that movie. So.
Did you really sit in it? That is awesome.
I was delivering some stuff, and I took a seat in the chair, and his assistant came over and said, "Get your ass off the set."
Dude, that is awesome, though. To sit in the throne, though, for even a moment is awesome. You never told me about that.
Yeah, I worked with the art department building the apartment where the apartment they lived in was inside of the AT&T call center in South Austin. Right?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So like the burnout was in the IRS parking lot. Ironically, they burned the building down in the IRS parking lot. So
that's really funny.
Cool stuff.
Too bad that didn't happen in real life. No, I shouldn't say that. That's not true. I don't want anyone or any building to get hurt, even if it is the IRS. Well, Ken, since you're new to the show, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with you, but just give us your background. When did you start your channel? How'd you get into crypto and all that? And we'll move on from there.
All right. Hi, my name's Ken Bosak. I'm the host of Pure Blockchain Wealth on YouTube, and I started my personal YouTube channel basically because I got tired of answering the same question 100 times, and I figured if I made one video or wrote an article like I did on Medium, I could just send that to all my friends and family that kept asking me the same questions. And from there, it actually turned into me reaching out to other people with questions of my own, plus questions that my viewers had. And out of nowhere, I kind of started interviewing founders, CEOs of projects. I got to interview Andreas. I got to interview Charlie Lee, Tone Vase. I got to interview Trace Mayer recently. A lot of these people.
So I love Trace.
Yeah, dude, it's been a pleasure getting to speak to these guys. So I just have fun interviewing people in the industry, and that's kind of what I do now.
That's really awesome. How many different people do you think you've interviewed over? How long have you been doing it? You said
a year. I've only been making content for about a solid 12 months.
Gosh, it's only been a year and you have a ton of content. And a ton of interviews. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. I got in about 2 years ago, I think, but I really started going into the content creating about a year ago. Probably, I'd hope I got close to about 30 or so interviews. I've interviewed a lot of people from a lot of different projects. Some were really good. Some I actually may have cut too deep. I interviewed the founder of Exodus, and I kind of tore into it a little bit, and I learned to kind of lay off people when you're interviewing them, but still find a way to dig in at the same time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We try to strike that balance too. Of course, it's taken time for an experience for us to sort of figure that out, because sometimes you forget that there's sensitive ground that you don't necessarily want to walk on, or if you do, you just kind of want to tread that line so you can kind of dig into that issue or topic, but not upset the person you're interviewing. It is kind of an art for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm learning the art of respectfully debating somebody's pride and joy, their baby, their project.
Exactly. And, that's a part of good interviews or radio or podcasts is, challenging your guests somewhat depending because, it shouldn't just be about, you shouldn't just be people pleasing or yes manning every guest. You want to challenge them a little bit just because.
Wait a minute. You're terrible about that.
Actually, I'm kind of the king of that.
You're the king of butt kissing when it comes.
See, but that's how I disarm the guest. Is I start out like that, and then I secretly, slowly move towards that sort of slightly. I don't want to say antagonistic, but questioning attitude. Okay,
that's what you were doing with John Stossel. I know.
Okay, that was a bad example. John Stossel, because he was a childhood hero of mine, I couldn't help but just kind of kiss his butt the whole time. But, come on, you would do the same for your personal hero.
Yeah, but you had like dingleberries in your teeth after that.
I mean, you're right, and that is a good way to put it. That's a little gross, but you're absolutely right. Anyway, well, and Ken, do you get to make the rounds much to conferences and stuff, and actually meet some of the guests that you've interviewed? Or
yeah, I actually got to meet you guys at a few of them, man. The conferences I've been to have been fantastic. I got to go to a bunch of the major ones, and I'm going to Consensus next month in New York City.
Nice.
Going to World CryptoCon in Las Vegas, October 31st to November 2nd, which is actually right in the middle of my birthday, and I'll be doing a lot of coverage of content at this Vegas World CryptoCon, and I'm headed to Paris, Canada. I'm going to be going. I quit my job. I went all in on crypto, and luckily for me, it's financially put me in a position where I can travel, and I don't have to really work the events. I can go to the event, and just being there actually ends up being kind of like work, because I create content that makes me money out of just living life. So I don't really have a job. I just have a living by living.
You just get to exist and have fun, and then recording that becomes material for your work that makes you money. That's pretty awesome. Like, you can't get a better combination of like work-life balance, if you will, where your life is your work, but it doesn't feel like your work. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I'm very blessed.
Tell me about it. Yeah, Danny, are you going to any of those upcoming?
I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Denver, and I should be there on 4/20. My son is actually going with me. We're going to a blockchain conference and a crypto cannabis conference, both 3 days apart. And we'll be the only two guys in Denver not smoking weed on 4/20.
Oh man, I don't know how I didn't get ahead of that one. I guess I was having my 420 plans a little locally. I should have been keeping an eye out for those crypto cannabis conferences, Dan. Oh, that sounds like fun.
No, I just stumbled across it on accident like a week ago. I just started looking for conferences and something with cannabis.
Oh, really? Was that recent that you found that out? I assumed you had known about it from that last one.
But when you go to these things, you just show them a business card with it says FM radio on it, and you get in. I mean, I've only paid for like one conference, and I don't know how long.
I know, for real. It is kind of. I mean, we are genuine. What do you call it? Press. Thank you. I can't even think today. But at the same time, it really is kind of too easy.
Yeah, I know. Like the cannabis conferences are probably the best. I love those even better. I mean, I don't even smoke weed, but they're funner than the crypto conferences, because like these crypto conferences have just become such an echo chamber.
Oh yeah.
Like, like I was saying about going to Talentland in Guadalajara, there's just all this different, kind of tech that was integrated in, and then you had all these people that just showed up and started showing off their blockchain wares, and they were, getting people interested in it. So, why are we, preaching to the choir so much with these crypto conferences when we need to be doing other things?
I agree. I mean, it sort of is a natural development to obviously focus on crypto conferences first, but you're right. You eventually have to branch out of that because it does become an echo chamber.
Marco knows. He goes to DEF CON and Black Hat and all that.
Well, I do. So,
got about a minute left till the break, by the way.
I'm sorry?
Minute left till the break. Sorry, go ahead.
So the last one that I went to that really was kind of awful was, the Miami Bitcoin conference.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
That was just a ICO shit show. It was.
Yeah.
Hey, Marco, when is the Decred ICO?
Oh, yeah. I literally got that question like 10 times. Like, come on, man, you got to leave. Yeah. Leave the booth right now.
Was, the problem I had with the Miami Bitcoin conference was that there was 4,000 something people there, and I wanted to see some of my friends, and they were there. We were in the same room, but we never even seen each other. There was just so many people.
It was such a zoo.
And the security there were just jackasses that it was like the TSA. Every time you wanted to go in and out of the room, they were wanting to fill your stuff, and then We had
That's really weird.
You know, we had one cop that came across with some racist remarks to us and all. So.
Oh yeah, you've shared that story. We can share it again if you want on the other side. But we're coming to break. Marco Peerboom and Ken Bozak. Stay tuned. Well, my clock is off.
By about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, how goes it YouTube? I
try not to cough when we're on.
I try not to, but I inevitably do. I constantly have phlegm in my throat.
Danny, Chris, it's going to be a good time, guys.
Oh, is this a? Oh, cool! It's a. I didn't even notice it's a target practice.
Radio show.
Yeah, I know. I think they've got some armor-piercing bullets or something that they're shooting at that.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, look at this one. This is
live stream.
Actually, it's kind of good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't worry, they're unmarked guns. So no one will know who shot it.
Well, the barrel marks the bullet. Well, I guess there's not much of the bullet left over at this point.
Yeah, but the gun doesn't have serial numbers, so.
There you go. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Is that legal, actually?
Yeah.
It is the way it's done. Absolutely.
That's what they do here.
Well, I knew that they made some some custom stuff and all that.
Yeah, well, it's just the milling machines. They make the CNC milling machine here, and you make your own gun.
Oh, I see.
They don't. This is not a firearms company. It's just a.
They sell metal stuff.
Actually, it's a software company.
Strictly speaking, yeah.
That's what they do. Is they sell you a milling machine that they make here, but what you're really buying is the software for the cut codes.
Do they accept crypto?
Oh,
yes,
yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
I would say that would only make sense.
Yeah, if you want, I mean, he built this company on Bitcoin.
Wow. That's awesome.
Well, one of his closest friends is Amir Taki, so,
I was at the bar at a Steam It meetup in Philly last night, and our bartender at a random coincidental meetup at this random bar, we were talking about Bitcoin, and our bartender said something like, "Oh, Bitcoin's still doing its thing," and we're like, "Yeah, why?" And he was like, "I lost 10 Bitcoin back in the Mt. Gox days, and I never really got back into it." And I felt for him because he looked genuinely like he never looked back. Like he was like, "Oh, it's still a thing," and I'm like, "Oh my God, you dear soul." He was like, "Yeah, I lost 10 Bitcoin, and it wasn't like it was a big deal then, but knowing I could lose it, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Dude, I get it." And then we all gave him some crypto as a tip at the bar because.
That was nice.
Yeah, I actually used Bitcoin at the bar. I got tipped on YouTube with a super chat from Full Time Geek, and we used that Bitcoin right then and there to buy beer at the bar with the Bitcoin. So it was pretty cool.
That is cool. Where were you? You said
Philadelphia. We do a Steam It meetup once a month in Philly and a Bitcoin meetup once a month in Philly.
We're coming back. Looks like we're
we're coming back. Bring us back, Rick, please. Welcome back, everybody. It is April 18th, 2018 on Logos Radio Network, TXLR 89.1 FM. This is the Crypto Show. Don't forget our partners, Dash.org, Defense Distributed, CryptoCompare.com. And we're talking with our guest, Ken Bozak, who is on the line. And in studio, we have, as I mentioned in the first segment, if you were listening still at that point, Marco Peerboom from Decred. And we were just talking about the Miami conference.
I wanted to just, announce him as the CEO of CoinVoice the whole time. And just wait until like the second hour to talk about Decred.
See, but remember what we were talking about earlier about like certain things you don't want to talk about with guests?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's one of those. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, it was a better CoinVoice was actually a better idea, and Michael Cargill here in town was using CoinVoice for the gun store.
That's right, yeah.
And he liked it better than BitPay because it was just less intrusive, and it was less of a pain in the butt. But
well, didn't everyone kind of like anything better than BitPay? Well, you had a bunch of issues with it back in the day, I remember.
Yeah. At the first Texas Bitcoin conference, I went up to Tony Galippi and told him that he was worse than Mt. Gox for Bitcoin. Because of
you really said that?
Yes, I did. Because I'd spent all this time going around signing up stores to accept Bitcoin at the meat market and the beer store, so I could go and spend Bitcoin. And I got the people to use BitPay, and they couldn't keep track of the money. They would just get these $20 increments, and they couldn't like match it up. Like, well, does this really amount to the amount of money? It was too much work for them to try to figure out whether that's what they got paid or not. So they just dropped Bitcoin and stopped using it. And I was pissed. So I went up to him right after a speech with a bunch of people around and told him, "And you're worse for Bitcoin than Mt. Gox."
Nice.
And I was just pissed because
I would be too, because you went through all that effort. Those businesses probably would have stuck with accepting Bitcoin had they had a workable payment
when
service
things like
solution.
that happen, those, like Jason King said in Acapulco, those businesses never come back.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, kind of like what he said with this bartender with Mt. Gox. I mean, it's a similar thing. Once you kind of get burned, you're done. I mean, psychologically, it's really hard to even like think about it again. So that's why we need to avoid like faulty software and applications like that, because that can be the difference between, a ton of people getting into Bitcoin or not. Yeah, absolutely. Well, so the Miami conference, though, I want to ask you, though, I want to stay on this topic just for a second, because last time we saw you, you were preparing to go. I know there were sort of mixed feelings about the Miami conference, but I know that you and the Decred team put a lot of time and effort into getting a really good presentation while you were there. I mean, how did it go? Forget kind of the general atmosphere of the conference. How did it go for you guys specifically? Do you think it was a success as far as your attendance? Or
so I think that we had a raging success, actually. So
really raging success.
Yeah.
I like that.
So the amount of hits we got on websites and inquiries we started getting, what really had an uptick, not a slightly higher number, no, really a drastic uptick. So it really helped us getting our name out there.
That's awesome. Like, how much of an uptick? Can you give us like an idea?
I don't know the exact number.
Oh, okay.
I want to say
it was like double. Was it like 50% more?
Yeah, probably in web traffic at the very least.
Wow.
So it
That's
was
great.
Yeah. So it was. So we did overall very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody
and I
just
got a lot
tried
of
to hack
great
my
compliments from
Facebook
people,
account.
Even for the presentation I did, I was a little nervous. I mean,
no jokes.
Huge.
Well,
I just muted the microphone so the crypto show
I think
can't
it went
hear me.
Relatively
But
okay.
what you saw me
And
doing
actually
just
people
now for the
afterwards coming up
past
to me and
minute
said,
or
"Thank you
two
for not pitching
was
an ICO."
recovering my
People were
Facebook
just
account because it was hacked.
Do not,
Holy shit!
get
I was
yeah.
just hacked. I got my Facebook account back, but I'm changing all of my passwords. Holy shit!
Conference. The day after the Dash conference opened up, what was the World Blockchain Forum, and that was just nothing but ICOs. It was a solid ICOs.
Wow. And wasn't Consensus last year like all ICOs too, right?
Yep.
And Ken, do you know if that's going to be the case this year?
Puerto Rico.
I don't know exactly, because ICOs in the U.S. isn't really very profitable at the moment. No one in the U.S. can really invest. So who are you marketing
That's
to?
true.
So
Well, and actually,
That's a good point.
so we're going to Consensus with Decred this year as well, and the pricing is actually pretty outrageous.
dude,
so-
that was insane.
What,
I
for
was
the
begging.
tickets?
I was online
For
begging
anything.
for a press
Oh, wow.
pass.
Yeah, so a single ticket just for a person that wants to visit, it's $2,500. So hotels are in the $350 range a night. So
Well, that's what.
I mean, it is New York.
That's what the Miami Bitcoin conference was.
no,
25.
not quite as bad.
No, there were 2,500. Yeah.
Holy crap!
Oh, the tickets. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
you saying that exact number. Yeah.
Yep.
They were, very pricey.
Yeah, I didn't find out until after I got there. I was like, ooh, but I got a press
They got
pass.
on press. Yeah, exactly. Of
Well,
course.
so I was speaking, right? So I already paid my dues.
Yeah.
And Danny had the advantage of he had his own mobile hotel anyway,
did.
so
I saw it.
he didn't have to pay as much. Yeah, but what is the focus this year? Do you know? Is there a particular theme for Consensus? Or?
I really don't think so. So I think there's going to be, I'm going to guess, in the 25% is going to be ICO. So there's going to be a lot of, I think ISO is kind of the new thing, right?
Wait, what's
Security, right?
Yeah,
So
security tokens, security,
So in other-
tokenizing.
yeah, so basically they are going to say, yeah, we are a security, right? So we're going to stop pretending that we are lawyers, and we accept the fact that, ICOs are securities, and so they're trying to do it properly.
Well, then if that's the case, as Ken commented just a moment ago, is it so true that Americans can't invest? I mean, as far as the ones that do go, I hate to use the word legit because it's not real. The government doesn't make it legit, but you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Like they're making them comply with regulations now, I guess, to be a security. So I mean, are there ICOs out there that are complying with securities law that Americans can invest in?
Oh, yeah,
and they're just
there's
not.
plenty.
But they're just not that many. Is that the case, guys? Or?
Right, and so the thing to realize about ICOs is that they are basically at this point an inside story as well, right? So it's people that know about them that get to buy them cheaply. So it's who you know, not when you show up.
That's a good point. And not that like some of these ICOs can't be very successful potentially in the long run, but you're right. Well, it's just like with an IPO.
Right.
It's the same thing. You got to know somebody to get it on the ground level and the pre-buy.
Right.
And that's where you make your money, really, or at least that's where you're likely to make
Well,
money.
I've heard of a strategy where you actually buy up the tail end, like the last ones that don't sell, they sell really cheaply, and you can buy those up, and that's where you can actually.
Well, but
make some money.
makes
that's
sense
risky
too,
though, right?
yeah.
So you may not get any, right? That's the risk that you.
Right.
that you
I see
take.
what you're saying, because like maybe they all get bought up if
Right.
you wait too long. Yeah, but it's it's risky on every end, I guess. Right. So, well, and I want to ask this of both of you, but I want to ask this of Ken first, since we're on the topic. Do you see ICOs becoming a really thriving market where you do ultimately get a lot of legitimate companies and networks and products and platforms? And do you see like it becoming very almost as commonplace as trading stocks one day? I mean, are ICOs going to revolutionize things the way people talk about, or is that all about a lot of fluff?
I think there's way too much money being thrown at this to be fluff. Way too much
Fair.
institutional capital coming this way that are planning for long-term, not short-term gains. This is money. Goldman Sachs, acquired Poloniex for $400 million. Coinbase just bought Earn for $100 million. What was the most recent one? The Dow just partnered with Basic Attention Tokens. These partnerships are long-term plans, so they're not planning for this to go away. But even local Bitcoin seems to be going KYC and AMA and
Oh no, really?
Yeah, they want you to go through KYC, it looks like, soon on even local Bitcoins and stuff like that. So getting into ICOs, it's not going to be this Wild West that it was, where somebody like me could just throw some tokens and get away with it. They're gonna want you to go through the regulated hoops, and we'll see it eventually. But I don't think it's going to be this year, maybe soon, but I don't know how soon.
Right. No, that's a good analysis. I mean, the very fact that big institutional players are plowing so much money into it, it's got to be something worthwhile's got to pop up eventually. Because
while they're talking about it being in a bubble and how it's not the future, while they're gobbling up as much of it as they can. If you can see what they're doing and see what they're saying and read between those lines, you're all right.
Ken, I agree with you. I'm impressed that, you're a smart guy, so it only makes sense. But I'm impressed that you say that, because a lot of people take that stuff at face value. And I've been saying to a lot of people, over the past year or so, when it's really cropped up, that, when Jamie Dimon or whoever from Wall Street Bank X, Y, and Z is downplaying crypto, but their money's going into it, that's a purposeful ploy to get people, to sell so they can buy cheap, or, it's basically a market manipulation tactic, and people just don't see that.
They're using their position for insider trading.
Exactly.
It's genius. It's not. I don't blame them. It's genius. And if you're smart enough to get in on that genius, take advantage of this early adoptive technology,
we'll
early investor, you'll be fine. Oh, sorry.
No problem.
So I have a slightly more adversarial opinion.
Yo, guys, I was just hacked.
Well, let's
by
talk
the way.
about that when we come back.
I was literally just hacked while we were live. Just so
What?
you all know. I swear to God, my Facebook account was just hacked. I just had to recover it while we were talking. My hands are puddles of sweat right now.
Oh, no.
I did hear you typing, which wasn't a bad thing, but I was,
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was recovering I was changing all the
No.
passwords.
Recover!
Oh my God. Oh, my hands are soaked in sweat. But yeah, I got my Facebook back and I just changed all my passwords just now. So I'm like,
Well,
all right.
I'm glad that you recovered it. Thank God, man. Because
there's only a few people listening. What are your passwords?
Password 1. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
Is your clock on the 2 seconds faster, or were you just adjusting for it?
No, I've got 2 minutes and 3 seconds. 2 seconds.
Oh, okay, so yours is actually on the correct time.
Okay.
So mine is 2 or 3 seconds off for some reason. Yeah, I just sort of in the back of my head, I was thinking, man, he's typing kind of furiously.
Yeah.
And it wasn't distracting, but it just it's just a passive thought. And so now I see why you were doing that. I'm so sorry, man. Thank God you were able to recover it.
It's funny, though. I was just interviewed by TheVerge.com about hacking in this industry.
Take out.
Oh, that's how ironic.
Take out.
Yeah,
Take
just
out.
yesterday.
And just go index PHP, just leave the flash out.
Oh, right there, like that. Let's see.
Yeah, just
Or what is it?
So see, mine's on. See, I've only got one bar, and
Index.php. Okay.
Yeah, index.
Hold on.
Yeah, when I get off of here, I'm going to see if I can try to track down where it was logged in from and see what I can do.
Russia.
Rush.
Am I right?
Flam.
I got this.
Oh my god! I hope they don't hack me. I've got a lot of goat porn on my computer.
My introduction to that type of stuff was Rotten.com back in middle school. I think that was like, and the reason I bring that up is it burned my brain for life, and I hate that website now.
What is it?
That's a
Well, you said
Yeah.
goat porn,
Never
and
heard-
my brain said Rotten.com, and if you don't know
That's
about
just
those
a
things,
joke. That's just a joke. I always say I've never actually
It's not a joke.
seen.
Oh no, it exists.
Goat
Oh,
porn.
it's
Roll
awful.
34. Roll 34.
Oh, no.
What's it? Is that if you can
Although
think
we-
of it? It's
There's
out
porn
there.
of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's porn of it. There's Roll 34 of the intent.
I did not know Rule 34.
Although
What does that say about Marco? That he knows
we
that
did
rule?
have
I am
sheep
the
when I was a
internet.
kid.
Marco
What's
is
that?
a figure
We
of
have got
the
sheep.
internet
When I was a kid. but-
embodiment.
Oh, did you really? So it wasn't goats; it was sheep, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
No, sheep goat, whatever.
Well, they're a little sexier, son of a baby.
And they're a little
Yeah.
thick.
What do they say about Australia?
There's more sheep than
It's
than women.
They
Men
say
are-
it's also about
No, it's-
Scotland, actually.
Yeah, it's where men are men and sheep are nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you ready?
When did you figure that out? Yeah, because now it doesn't have that bar and it's
right.
more stable.
Yeah.
That's good.
Go ahead and bring us back, Rick.
Oh, do you guys got a link?
All right, welcome back, guys, to the third segment of the Crypto Show on this lovely April 18th, 2018. Our guests, of course, are Ken Bozak and Marco Pierboom. We were just talking about ICOs and
No, we weren't. We were talking about goat porn.
off air. Our listeners
Oh.
weren't supposed to know that. No, it was actually and along those lines. Danny admitted that he did grow up with sheep on
Yeah.
his family property. So, you can.
I was in the FFA as well. But,
Well, I don't-
actually, like me and all my friends, we all joined the FFA, and we were stoners in high school. So we joined the FFA to learn how to grow weed better, basically. And now I don't even
believe
smoke.
it.
So
The irony. Well, don't give up your youthful ways, Danny. Embrace them again. But we, God, when Danny says that stuff, it sounds like he's joking, but he's totally true.
Oh yeah.
But we were talking about ICOs. Ken gave us a good sort of quick analysis about where he sees the future of ICOs going, and I tend to agree with him on that point. But Marco was saying off air actually that he has maybe a counterpoint to that. I want to hear your opinion on the whole ICO thing, Marco.
Well, so I actually got two things there. So I think that first off, that ICOs in the US are going to kind of wither away. So only the ones,
Really?
yeah. So only the ones that are going to do the full-on Reg A, Reg D, and all that kind of stuff. Those are the ones that are going to continue to exist.
That kind of makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're going to shut out the little guy. Right. It's only it's going to be mostly registered agents.
So it's kind of like a barrier to entry where
Yeah.
only like a select handful are
So
going to
it
really.
essentially turns into an IPO.
Approved investors only.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So accredited investors and all that kind of good stuff. So and on top of that, I actually think
So
that
government and the mob.
that's right. Those guys, yeah.
Exactly, basically.
What's that? Aren't they the same thing?
Yeah.
Same.
Well,
Same
yeah.
thing.
He repeats himself. Yeah.
It's
Redundant.
Pablo Escobar or
Yeah.
Roberto Escobar.
Oh, that's right. There's a coin for that too now. But
Diet
okay.
Bitcoin, bro.
There's a point for that too.
No, there's the
I
guy, Pablo Escobar's brother, started they did an ICO as well.
No way.
Wait.
Cocaine ICO
Wow.
or what?
I
Yeah.
am not kidding. I forget the name of it. Ken, what was the name? I know you know
It's called Diet Bitcoin, and
That's right,
yeah,
that's
it's
right.
actually competing with Bitcoin because it's SHA-256. They're idiots.
Yep, it's
Wow.
true. Right.
That's crazy.
So anyway, but ICOs, where was I? So what I was actually trying to say though is I think actually that some of the bigger ones, or at least one of them, is going to fail pretty miserably here in the next couple of weeks, months.
Like you have one in mind in particular, or
So
just,
it starts with a, let's say with a T and it ends in, Bezos. So no, No, but I'm picking on somebody, and I shouldn't do that. So, but what I would expect is that at least one or two or three of these things are going to fail. That are the higher profile ones.
And that's already happened, hasn't it?
But nothing really big yet.
So really big yet?
So if we see $100 million or $200 million one, basically close up shop because of lawsuits or they just couldn't deliver a product. So I think that might actually cause a little bit of a domino effect. As in, people then get really scared of like, oh, look, these guys with all this money couldn't make it work. What about the guys that only have 20 million, right?
Right.
Or only have 50 million.
If the people with real means can't make it work,
right.
Then it's like I love this phrase from Chaucer, if I may. If gold rust, what then will iron do?
Right.
And so, yeah, same kind of thing.
Well, iron makes the sun explode.
Am I right?
No, I'm not kidding, actually.
No, but you're
Physics.
Right. No, you're right, because when it reaches the stage of producing iron, then
that's when it explodes.
The fission stops or whatever, right? Yeah, or fusion, whatever it is. Anyway, but yeah, exactly. But well, no, and we saw the same phenomenon in regular crypto, right? When Bitcoin shot way up and then tanked, it took all the other cryptos with it, and you saw that cycle repeat constantly over the past few months to a year.
Right.
Like they would kind of go in tandem because Bitcoin's the big dog, and when the big dog goes down, everyone else does.
Right. Well, so but again, I really think that the ICO space was a little bit too wild and loose, right? And there's going to be a bit of a reckoning, and it's going to just hurt, like you said with Bitcoin, right? So something bad happened, right? Mt. Gox, everything went down. A bunch of startups went bankrupt at the time.
I'm putting all my money into clout.
Well, so did that guy with his Evernote keys. Have you ever heard that story?
Do what?
So there was a guy that had 100,000 followers on Twitter, and he was always bragging about stuff, and he kept his private keys on Evernote. So somebody hacked his email address, was able to recover his password from Evernote, and the dude lost all his crypto.
Why would you keep him there? Two, why would you advertise that?
Well, I don't think he advertised it.
No, he did. He advertised his portfolio at over $2 million and then was hacked recently after.
Oh, my God. It's amazing. It's amazing the carelessness that people have.
That's why you should get yourself a billfold, or a billfoddle, excuse me.
Bill Fiddle?
No,
is that like
spelled,
a hodl?
It's spelled BILFODL. And it is a metal box that you take, and it comes with all the little letters in it, and then you just slide your private keys in up to 24.
Yep.
Up to 24 keys.
Oh, that's cool.
And it comes from right here in Central Texas.
I think you told me about that recently.
Those things are great, actually.
I have two of them. The guy
where do you buy them, actually?
He sent them to me, and I actually need to start talking about it.
Hey, so let me see that thing.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Real quick?
Yeah. Let me open it up and show you my keys first.
Yeah, exactly. So I can take a picture of that. Yeah. And I'll put it on Evernote for you.
You guys were talking about the dangers of the ICOs and stuff. What do you think about that most recent exit from SaveDroid AG or whatever? That Yasin Hanker.
The $50 million one?
Yeah, he took off with $50 million and said peace and took a picture of a beer bottle on the beach.
Yep, she had beer too on top of it. So I mean, at least have the decency.
Wait, so fill us in on this. This was an ICO.
Yeah. But the guy had actually been very active on the internet, so it looked pretty legit. And then the last picture he put out was of him holding a beer on a beach, and his offices were empty. And
oh no! What a jerk! So obviously implying he ran off, absconded with the funds, and now he's living the good life somewhere on
with $50 million apparently.
What's his name? John Bush? No.
No comment, but for real. That's crazy. Well, so we're probably going to see more of those happen. And like you said, or like I said, or both. Some have already happened, just small time, but we're bound to see a big one come.
Right.
I mean, I think you're right. I think it's just inevitable. Like, even if we had no other information, it's just that's how these sort of new markets work. You're going to have a lot of scams. You're going to have a lot of fraud. It's inevitable. And, of course, unfortunately, the government then uses an excuse to clamp down. But, over time, market forces are such that really just people, once bitten, twice shy. Right. People tend to learn from mistakes in the market when these things happen. Not everybody, don't get me wrong. People will persistently make some mistakes, like putting out your, keeping your private keys in an unsecure place and advertising it. But so
I'm glad I got mine painted on the top of the building where no one can see it.
I think
I hope no one uses Google Earth.
I think I was going to say Google Earth probably has your Bitcoin right now. Well, and so, but then,
no, that's just where I keep my Ripple.
God, Ripple. I wish I. Oh man, don't even get me started. I was ready to invest way early in that, and I never did. I know it's easy to say that, right? Like, but I just kicked myself. Anyway, okay, so but
kick yourself for what?
For what?
Why would you do that?
Hey, well, don't get me wrong. Because it is a sort of bankster government, pseudo crypto, but I could have made a lot of money.
No, you would have made more holding Bitcoin. I made proof of that. I made 3,000% holding Ripple from 3 cents to $3, and I still lost money by not just holding Bitcoin.
Well, that's okay. That's a good point. I guess you probably would have had, it would have been an opportunity cost of you would have had even greater gains holding Bitcoin. That's fair. That's a good point.
And you did a lot of work losing money by trading it for Ripple. So you make more money by doing less work just holding your Bitcoin.
That's a good point. I like that. I didn't.
Or you could have bought Decred at the start of last year, and you would have made 34,000%.
God, dude, don't
That's
even.
all?
34,000%.
Is that it?
It's so stupid.
Man,
That's not even a number. That is so ridiculous.
It's not even a number. It is. It's a Googleplex.
Oh man.
Basically. No, that's impressive. And on that note, we're coming to break here in a little over a minute. But when we come back, we should maybe talk a little bit about Decred and how things are going over there. And when is the ICO? Just kidding.
I'm leaving.
No, Marco, please don't.
You lost Marco.
I thought we had rapport, man. I thought we were buds.
I even brought you fries.
You did. Yeah, Ken. I don't know if you know about our ongoing joke on the show, but Danny always used to make fun of me about eating French fries, which is a real thing.
Well, I mean, his nickname is Papa Frito.
Yeah, I mean, so of course if that's my nickname, what do you think I do? But Marco always brings me fries whenever he comes in as a guest. And like clockwork, he did not fail. He brought me some fries right here. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
And they're McDonald's fries.
Oh, those are the only fries I accept. Sorry.
Right. So they gotta have bacon on them.
Oh, man.
It's like the Bitcoin. It's like the Bitcoin of French fries, huh?
It is the Bitcoin of French fries, exactly. There were some scalability issues though when I ate all the French fries.
So in by the way, if you let the fries sit in that box for a little bit, it's even the same color as Bitcoin because it's a little orange.
Hey, if you let them sit there long enough, they'll actually never, ever, ever, ever go away.
No, they'll just
That is a good. I'm hodling. Don't worry.
Yeah, you
All
can
right,
hodl.
We're coming to
You
break.
can hodl your French fries.
Right back.
forever.
I highly doubt you're hodling French fries.
I'm actually hodling Bitcoin chocolates I got from the Dallas show from the Crypto Manus booth.
You're what now?
The French
got
fry
it.
hamburger.
Yeah, the big bag.
Yeah.
Sitting in the jar
Yeah.
for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched that Spurlock deal, or what was it, 30 days, where he lived on lived on McDonald's for 30 days.
Oh, was that the the documentary he did or whatever? Super
Did you
Size
see
Me.
he
Yeah.
did
Super
something like
Size.
that with Bitcoin too, right? Or I'm pretty sure somebody did.
Yeah, he did. No, that was him.
Oh, the same. That's right. It was the
Yeah,
same guy. Yeah.
he went to New York and lived on Bitcoin for a month and
couldn't
complained. He
do
said
it.
it was really hard.
Yeah, he couldn't do it. He couldn't pay. He couldn't figure out how to pay his bills. I pay my rent with Bitcoin like every month, so I don't know. I figured it out.
And click on the banner.
Now, is that by special arrangement with your landlord, or how do you do it?
I just
No,
stopped paying
get
rent.
I mean, if I handed you cash, how would you pay your rent? You just have to get a money order, right? So I take my Bitcoin, I either get a money order or I get somebody locally to buy the Bitcoin from me with a money order.
Oh yeah. Well, you're right. It is that easy. We should try to do that at some point.
If you sell Bitcoin locally, you usually make 10% instead of, taking a 5% cut, selling it on an exchange. So you make more money selling it to somebody who's going to hold it long term rather than selling it to an exchange.
Yeah,
that is a good point.
I had a credit card processor calling me today talking about trying to get me to change to a different credit card processor for my business. And I kept telling him, no, I don't take credit cards. I only take Bitcoin, man.
Yeah. That's a good way to shut them up, right?
And he goes, well, how do you do that?
I'm
I
smarter than you.
I make arrangements with them, and I only accept. Matter of fact, we don't even take the dollar here. Which
not credit cards.
At the show, we don't. Like for advertising and stuff here, we don't take the dollar.
That's
we
pretty awesome.
We only take crypto.
Yeah, you got to walk the walk. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame people who don't completely walk the walk because it's difficult, but we're working our way to that. And I was going to say we should do like a month or something on the show where we attempt to just do everything in crypto.
Well,
don't get me wrong. You
right now, I'm 100%.
Right now, you largely, you are.
I'm 100%.
Well, I guess then I'm talking about myself then.
I'm 100% on crypto.
You gotta
only
fry.
right
You
now.
gotta find a fry dispensary that takes crypto. That's all.
You're fired.
Well, no, you could use a
Oh, no.
BitPay, Visa, Shift card.
Yeah.
You could use tons of different ways.
Frycoin.
Frycoin. I'm gonna
Yeah.
start that.
I think it exists.
It does?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I gotta corner the market on Frycoin, control it, make it my own.
Be a whale in Frycoin.
Well,
Yeah.
A
but maybe you can
Frycoin
do like
whale.
fried
Yeah.
bacon coin or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm already
called-
a whale, like physically.
Yeah. It's an
So-
it's an ISO. Remember an isolated saturated oil or something.
I like
Oh.
that. Nice.
So-
That's good. That's pretty good, actually. All right, well, looks like we're coming back. So bring us back, Rick. Welcome back, everybody, to the Crypto Show. Well, and we're here with our guest Marco Pierboom in studio and Ken Bozak on the line. And we were just talking about French fries and the scalability issue that I caused when I ate all the French fries,
Frycoin.
and how I'm going to corner the market on Frycoin and turn it into my own personal crypto that's going to be backed by potatoes, russet potatoes, and French fries. So get ready, folks. You're going to make a lot of money
That's
investing
got to
in
be
this.
better than the Petro.
Probably.
It's backed by oil.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yours will be backed by vegetable oil.
Well,
What's the difference?
So
Well-
can I be ugly about people backing crypto with something? Isn't that
No,
a little bit of a delusional crowd? What is going on here?
actually, no. I like this topic. So let get into this. Go
All
ahead.
right. So why people say a cryptocurrency backed by something that is literally the I'm going to say it. It's the dumbest thing ever, right?
No, it's actually proof of no work.
No, sure, it is definitely proof of no work. No, but there's you kind of missed the point. You kind of missed the boat on the whole thing. If that's what you're saying, it's a good idea. So the point of crypto is that you don't have to back by anything.
Well,
it's actually backed by math,
Right.
and proper math,
Wait,
hard math.
Did you say meth or meth?
Yes.
Oh,
So you're just complaining about what it's backed by. You want it backed by meth, just not. other
That's
things.
right,
Oh, okay.
exactly. So by
I
the
gotcha.
blue stuff, right? No, but I'm dead serious about that actually. So every time I read anything about, hey, yeah, we were gonna do this new coin and it's backed by this or that, I was like, okay, so thanks for not understanding what this is about.
See, like I can understand in a sense. I mean, I agree with you 100%. Actually, I can understand in a sense using some sort of crypto token to facilitate the trade of some commodity in the world or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, that's very different.
But it's different. But I can see people confusing in their minds. But you're right. It's superfluous to back a crypto because the fact that it's scarce, the fact that it's mathematically secured, as far as we know, essentially impossible to crack. You don't need to back it by anything except the features of the coin itself.
right. No, so but the coin itself.
So you're
is,
saying we don't need ICOs?
I'm willing to say that.
I mean, that's basically what
Well,
what an
so, no,
ICO is, right?
No, what an
it's a
ICO can
coin
do
that's
though.
backed by
No, so
vaporware.
there's something goodness about. So I'm not all anti-ICO though. So I think that ICOs serve a purpose, and that is that people, the small guy, could raise some money and actually start a business. What typically was not available unless you knew somebody in VC, and so the ICO really brought the barrier down. So unfortunately, it also brought a bunch of fragrance with them, right? And
Yeah.
people that are just unsavory and that are trying to do bad things and trying to scam people.
it's crowdfunding that doesn't give you T-shirts; it gives you tokens.
Yeah, there you go. And I can do a lot more with potentially with the tokens than the T-shirts. Well, especially me since they don't fit.
T-shirts you can at least wear.
Well, for you normal people. No, but you're right, and of course, like that's kind of what I said earlier too. Is it inevitably attracts these scam artists
Right.
or whatever, but. That's something that's always going to happen. But then the question is, how do you respond to that? And then where do you go from there? And, do you want the government clamping down? And I'm not saying in some sense that, temporarily the regulation couldn't prevent that. But in the long term, what's going to happen is to the extent that the government keeps out scammers, which I think the market would eventually, through due process, I should say due diligence, through reducing moral hazard, through learning from mistakes, the market tends to reduce the number of scammers in these kinds of industries. But unfortunately, now what's happening, like you said, though, is while the ICOs opened up the market to people who couldn't get funding previously, the little guys, it's going to invite the government in, and then they're going to make it such that only the big guys again can get the
Right.
funding. So that's the kind of sucky part of it.
That is very sucky because
That's why I like airdrops, man.
Sure, and airdrops is, in my opinion, also a pretty good way of raising funds and to get going.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great point, both of y'all. But let me ask you then, what do you think? Do you think the government will ever respond to airdrops and start calling those securities, or start making people claim those as like capital gains? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, well, what do you think would happen, guys?
Do you want to go first, Ken, or do you want me to take it?
You
I'll
got
take
this.
All right. So ICOs, if you actually look at them, so from a purely legal perspective, they were always and they are always basically a security. So everybody who tells you otherwise doesn't understand the law or thinks that they are smarter than the law, and they're not, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Just real quick, when I was at Anarchapulco, I forget who it was, but somebody totally convinced me of what you're just saying.
Right.
Like
So,
perfectly logically, unassailably. Go ahead.
yeah, you cannot pass the Howey test essentially every time you look at at an ICO.
And what is the Howey test?
The Howey test is what determines if something is a security. That's the legal mechanism. So every ICO ever done in the United States is pretty much, by definition, a security. And you can call it whatever you want all day, every day. It is still a security. So they are going to get regulated. So they are already regulated. They just broke the law. That's essentially what has happened with virtually every ICO. So there is going to be a reckoning with that, right? So the government is starting to crack down on some of these. They're going after the big guys, right, and the ones that are pure out scams. And then they're going to come after the little guys. So the IRS is going to want their cut too.
Oh, man, somebody's going to have to fire their blunt roller.
No.
Wait, what?
Oh, when I went to Puerto Rico, there was some guy who was kind of well known for his ICOs. He had his personal blunt roller following him around.
Oh, you were telling me about this. Oh, I know who you're talking about now. Okay,
May
that's
rhyme
right.
with rock. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Initial letter maybe early on in the alphabet.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I remember you told me about that. Well, and that's what's the most sucky thing is everyone's going to have to fire their blunt roller at these ICOs when the government cracks down. Well, but so what about the airdrops though? I mean, did you see the same thing?
Well, so the airdrops are different because the airdrops, they're not used to raise funds per se. So in that already,
okay, that's a good point.
So if you have, if you do an airdrop before the token has value, you are not a security.
Oh, okay.
So, and actually Decred did that. So when we actually pre-mined 8% and gave it all away before it had any value. So we never raised any money with that.
They were pre-mined. Get him out.
No. Sorry.
Let's talk about that. 8% pre-mined, 8% given away. And the idea was to get it in people's hands so that they could actually do something with it. So the point was to dilute it amongst the population.
So Marco, how was that determined? How was it determined who got in on the airdrop?
So we are an open source kind of group. So we sent out a bunch of email to people in the open source community and asked them to sign up. And then the people who signed up got, the money the coins divided.
Was it an even distribution?
Yeah. So exactly even. It was about 288 Decred. So it was a pretty substantial amount at the time. So
that was only 8% or 288.
I think the only one I've ever got was from Stellar. I think I have 1,000 Stellar somewhere in an email. I don't know.
Wow, really? Isn't that worth something?
I don't know.
It's
like $4 maybe.
Is it? Yeah, it's like Ripple, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, it just seemed like 1,000 seems like a lot, but you're right. When it's worth like a quarter of a cent, it's not worth too much. I'm gonna pull it up anyway and just let you know if we can figure out how much it's worth.
Maybe we can buy some beer.
There you go.
No. So, but the thing though is that if you don't have value and you're not trying to raise money, then you pass the Howey test, essentially.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But on a similar note, do you think they could consider it a capital gains at some point?
Absolutely, capital gains are going to be at some point going to have to be levied.
Okay.
So once you exchange
from
it
an airdrop,
So once you exchange it, you are going to have to pay your capital gains on it.
Well, I guess that just makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The IRS is going to get their cut, right?
Yeah. Well, because you're getting essentially an asset for nothing, and then you sell it at a market price of X dollars.
Right. So if you have a long-term holder, right, you're going to pay long-term capital gains on the total value, right? So if it made $1,000, right, you pay your 25% on that.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well, at least that's more straightforward and less scary than if you're doing an ICO.
Right. And ICOs, again, fail the Howey test. Their securities, the end.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I mean, in my ignorance, I used to think that there was a clear distinction. But then, like I said, I talked to that guy at Acapulco. I wish I could remember who it was to give him credit. But and he probably even used the word Howey test, but he essentially went through the criteria and step by step. And I was like,
probably Simon.
What's that? Maybe
Simon Dixon, or
it might have been Simon. Yeah, and Simon would know, absolutely. But no, there's no denying that they're security. So so I guess we'll just see. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. I mean, luckily it hasn't been. I mean, the government has been relatively easy on that market, but
well, and I think actually that what Puerto Rico has done in Wyoming, that is going to change the equation just a little bit.
And explain that real quick. We've got a less than 2 minutes.
Okay, so Wyoming actually is probably the better example here. So they passed a bunch of laws where you don't pay taxes on crypto transactions and on ICOs and that kind of stuff. So that changes the equation a bit. So, but that is going to have to make its way through the courts, through federal courts, really, before it can all be determined what's real and what's not.
They've already passed the legislation, right?
But it's state law.
Okay.
And all these things are federal law, right? So this is kind of like Colorado passing the the marijuana law.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Right. So yes, you're fine over there for now until
until the feds push back.
Right.
But on a similar note, though, like what they're doing, other states could follow, and then
and then you can build momentum, and that could change the equation.
Right. And that's an exciting prospect, and aside from cannabis, that's really something we haven't really seen in a major way in our lifetimes that I can think of, where you have like a big industry where the states slowly change a long-standing federal stance on something, and so that'll be kind of cool from a legal perspective, at least, to see what happens. That sort of give and take between the feds and the states. So
if something's going to give, and they're not going to obviously shut down the states' rights to do certain things, right? So there is going to be a middle ground.
Well, they might, but that would be extreme, and they would have a lot of pushback from people. So they're probably not going to. Yeah, I don't eliminate anything from the feds for possibility. Anyway, we're coming to break. We'll be right back with Marco Peerboom and Ken Bozak. And my clock is on.
So, what do you guys think about that Pornhub and XVG collab?
Oh man, so.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, that's that's the answer. Like the video and everything else. That's what the porn is. What gets things off the ground.
So, but is that the currency to go with though? Like, what the fuck?
No.
Oh no.
So, but Ken, the thing to realize here is that Verge just puts their name and their brand out in front of tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people in a couple of days, right? So this is everybody wants to be Verge today.
Yeah, it cost them 75 million XVG to lubricate that deal.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm sure they paid out the ass, but still, I mean, everybody wanted to be Verge today and yesterday, right? Because they got so much publicity. Everybody knows about Verge right now.
I don't know why has this not happened sooner with something different? Because
I think everybody already thought it existed.
That's like.
Of course, they already taking Bitcoin, right?
Nope. No, they're not. They're not taking Bitcoin or any other crypto. Only XVG.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty good though, right? Because it's XVG, extra vagina or something.
Yeah, Verge, Virgina. Yeah, the memes are great.
Virgina, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. But it's not actually Pornhub. It's what, MindGeek.
Yeah, and they own everything under the porn sun.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah, because they all go to the same. They are different domains, but
into the tides of the alternative.
They use the same Evernote, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to see what blockchain projects like SpankChain and Stroken do at actually putting content on the blockchain, not just using the currency to pay for a subscription.
Oh, so they're making it like a porn Steam or DTube?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yep.
Cool.
$19.
Yeah, they're actually already active. They're live streaming on their blockchain, similar to the IPFS or whatever that Steam is using for live streaming.
Which one is it now?
It's SpankChain.
SpankChain?
Yeah.
Well, that'd probably be a good place to put your content. Just kind of like a lot of these guys are doing on Exotica and stuff.
Well, it's a very expensive way to store data, though, on a blockchain.
No, like Tone Vase and Bitcoin Uncensored, those guys, they live stream on Exotica.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In fact, our debate from a couple of years ago.
Yeah. It was on Exotica.
Before it was on our own.
Yeah.
Wait, so I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah, Tone took our content and put it up on Exotica before we ever got it on YouTube.
Oh, really?
So, like, it had thousands of hits before we ever even edited ours.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is awesome.
Well, if it's funny, it's funny,
Yeah.
right? That's the way it is.
Well, that's what they do. Like the Bitcoin Uncensored guys would
Right.
do theirs on Exotica and take their shirts off and stuff so that they were half naked to be on.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
did
know
it from
that.
the bathroom at the one
Yeah.
conference.
Yeah, and
I remember that actually. Yeah.
That is
yeah,
hilarious.
at the Miami Bitcoin conference, they did it in the bathroom.
Oh, that one too.
Yeah.
I just remember they did it from another one too a while back when they interviewed someone from Dash.
That was at Miami Bitcoin.
Oh, that was the same one.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, just last year or the previous year.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It
okay.
was the year before.
Yeah, this year
So-
they actually had a booth.
Yeah.
Were they half naked at the booth?
No, unfortunately not.
Oh, I'm glad you said unfortunately.
Chris DeRose, he knows. He knows.
There is a meme of Chris Rose actually without a shirt.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
They're pretty harsh on some people, but actually like a lot of their content or the Chris DeRose stuff. I like.
Yeah, he is definitely hard on people.
Yeah.
His
He's such a
Richard
though.
Richard Hardwick or whatever interview was so crazy.
I remember the guy from Nexus. They were at not this past Bitcoin conference, but their Miami, but the one before. They were. Oh man, this guy wants to go into space, and they were making fun of him.
Pretty
They were-
mean.
Yeah.
They can be pretty mean, although at the same
But-
time they're hard hitting.
But the guy does want to go. Like he's launching CubeSats and shit into space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about what's his name?
From Colin Contrell.
Yeah. Thank you. I never remember his name.
Yeah.
They just partnered with Lisp, didn't they?
Nexus?
Yeah, I think, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to get a hold of him and ask him.
Good for them if they did.
I'm not-
All right, we're coming back. Bring us back, Rick, please. Welcome back, guys. It's the second hour of the Crypto Show, and don't forget our partners, Logos Radio Network. Go to logosradionetwork.com and donate to keep this listener-supported network going. Dash.org. You know the Dash guys. You know the Dash Crypto. Defense
Dash,
Distributed.
what's that?
Oh, it's just a little crypto, we know. And Defense Distributed with the new Ghost Gunner and Cody Wilson's book, Come and Take It, The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free, and CryptoCompare.com with the CryptoCompare.com news bites or weekly wrap-up every Sunday on the show. And we're talking with Ken Bozak and Marco Pierboom. And I kind of missed a lot of the conversation off air. Was that topic something we want to mention on air or bring up? Is that worth exploring or not really?
Yeah.
So I'm not even that familiar with it. So
Remind us of the topic. Oh, the porno stuff?
yeah.
Oh. So Chris used to be an overweight porn star.
wait. Now I'm just overweight.
Right.
I'm not a porn
He's
star
no longer
anymore.
a porn star.
Yeah.
No, I guess some of these guys are actually streaming on Exotica, which is a porn site, and Ken was mentioning Spank Chain, and I was just commenting.
So is that a porn crypto or something, or?
Well, isn't it like
It's an
Steemit
adult,
or something?
It's an adult entertainment blockchain, and right now they have dApps on their blockchain like Crypto Titties, where girls can post topless photos with a blockchain address, and they can receive Ethereum based on donations from people enjoying their breastises. And now they
So
can
can I
live
show my
stream as
breast?
well. Yeah.
You can
Well,
try.
That
I'd pay for
that actually totally sounds more plausible than Crypto Kitties.
What? Oh yeah.
Crypto Titties.
It really
yes.
does.
Yeah,
I mean, Crypto Kitties, they're fleeting and like the fun only lasts so long, but Crypto Titties, that's an endless supply of.
Breasts are forever.
Exactly. I'm kind of tempted
at
to.
least for a while.
Should I show my?
No.
Okay. Never mind. Nothing. I'm going to tease our viewers
No.
until I set up.
No, you're not.
Well, no, I'm going to tease them by not doing anything. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So that when I set up my what is it called again?
Spank chain
address
in crypto titties.
then I'll start showing my cryptos.
So you're gonna
Nice.
shave your breast hair, or are you gonna just leave it?
I'm all natural.
I think they would be crypto moves in your case.
Yeah, you know what's funny though? You
Andrew?
can stake your crypto, your Spank chain, your Spank token. You can stake it, and you get Booty token in exchange for staking your Spank. So Booty is pegged to the dollar on the blockchain there, like Steam Dollar, and you can use the Booty to tip girls or request content creation.
There's another one out along these same lines called Smoke, and it's for cannabis.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah, we
mentioned
were
that one.
actually going to have someone on to talk about that, and we never did.
Oh no.
Because
Can we
they
still
got
get them?
hot.
Maybe.
Yeah, because we got no, they got yeah.
Somebody.
We
got
were
high.
ready, and they never showed up.
No.
For some reason. There was a red light,
And they just
and
stared
they
at it.
stopped 2 blocks ahead.
Yeah.
No, there's gonna be a red light when I get on Spank Chain. I'm just saying. So get ready, crypto viewers. One day you're gonna see my cryptos on Spank Chain. No, never mind.
But yeah,
I'm just
what
kidding.
enticed at that conversation was the partnership with MindGeek, Pornhub, Browsers, and Verge XVG. Man, it's crazy.
Well, and actually, what I said off air, and I'm gonna repeat it again, is that I promise you that every cryptocurrency right now wishes that they were a Verge, right? So they got their brands in the name and of that that virtual currency out to hundreds of millions of people. So what is it? Pornhub is what 1.8 billion hits a year from 1.8 billion hits.
Gosh, I'm half of that.
Yeah. So that.
Yeah. Well, and the argument is that, well, no one pays for porn, right?
Everyone
But-
pays for porn, man.
But what about the advertisements and stuff that are on those sites?
Right.
Well, no, you're right. There's not that I would know, but there's constantly advertisements everywhere.
No, come on.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, a friend told me. He's got a lot of experience. No, but you're absolutely right. Like you might, the subscription model may not really exist much anymore or be very profitable, but advertising is through the roof.
Yeah.
In that industry, yeah.
Well, and again, so from a stunt, right? They kind of nailed it, right? So, and of course, the token is going to go down in value. That's just always inherent, right? Because you are always going to disappoint with whatever big announcement you have. You always do, right? It's just inherent. So the excitement was already built into the price. But that said, everybody has heard of Verge today, right? Okay, 1.8 billion people have heard of Verge.
That's still a
today.
big percentage of the population.
It's a pretty amazing amount. So the
Super Bowl can't even get that
no,
kind of number.
they can't. So this is an absolutely astounding
At
stunt.
least everyone with hairy palms has.
Oh, I remember. So, well, just real quick, I just remember the first time I fell for that one when I was like 13, and I did it in front of like several friends, and it was so embarrassing. Anyway, moving on. But no, you're absolutely right. Well, and speaking of Verge and everyone hearing about it, one day hopefully everyone will hear about Decred
I hope so.
because it's such an incredible cryptocurrency.
That's right.
Was that a good segue?
That is a good segue. So we are much more serious, I want to say.
Do what?
We are much more serious.
Well, I would hope you were, but maybe not. Maybe it's a good thing you're not. I don't know.
No, so we are.
And if they do get integrated into Pornhub, would they be called titty tickets?
I think we
Nice.
should.
I like
So,
that.
but you stake. Get it? Stake
Okay.
tickets, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun puns to be had over there. We can make this punny.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to think of some right now, but I can't.
So Decred, yes. Let's get my mind out of the gutter here for a second. So we are honestly, all kidding aside, we are a pretty serious project, right? And we've been around for over 2 years now, and we plan to be around for another, 20, 30. So and that's what, what the entire engineering team has been working on, is to make it a long-term project, right? And this is, I'm getting obviously to the governance thing slowly. So because with governance, you can change consensus and you can change protocol, and therefore you can make changes over time, which invariably are going to be required. That's
Right.
just inherent.
And you made a comment last time you were on, I think, or maybe the time before that, but that the cryptos that are likely to succeed in the long term are the ones that have governance structures.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. Like, I think if you just think about it in a theoretical sense, it's true and it makes sense. But even if you just look back at the the success rate of like Decred and Dash and some others in getting certain things implemented on the protocol level or otherwise in a very timely and non sort of controversial or basically in a very much smoother way than what's been happening with Bitcoin that doesn't have that governance structure.
Well, and let's talk about Bitcoin Cash, obviously, right? Because that's probably the best known of the bunch. And for all intents and purposes, we can call Bitcoin Cash what it is, right? It is a spite coin, right? So it exists because a spite coin.
Oh, in spite or to spite?
Yeah, to spite the Bitcoin community, right? So Roger Ver was denied a voice, right or wrong. He felt that he should have had a bigger voice in the community. He never got it. So he was like, F this, guys. I'm going to go do my own thing. And he's now actively undermining Bitcoin. And so, but look at it from his perspective, right? So he forked the Bitcoin blockchain. So he is invested in both of them. So if either one of them fails, it's all the same to him, right? Because he's going to be okay regardless.
Right.
Right. So and obviously he is just doing this because he's angry that he never got heard.
Yeah. Well, and I also believe, and then he is doing it out of anger, and I do believe that he was kind of denied a voice. But regardless of that, too, I also think he's doing it because he believes it's the right thing to do. Like he believes it's delivering value to the crypto space because there needed to be a scalability solution. There needed to be a second option. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I think that it was motivated in addition by that.
I don't know. I can't obviously read his mind. So I can see that the community is very angry and they are pitted against one another, and that's unfortunate.
Well, and I will agree with that. I mean, that is definitely unfortunate. I mean, if this could have been resolved, I do believe that had things been worked out earlier, or at least had there been better communication about the scalability issue, that it wouldn't have to have come to this, and Roger probably would have been happy for it not to have come to that,
right?
But unfortunately, there was just such foot dragging and whatnot that I mean, had it not been Roger, it probably would have been somebody else.
But let's rewind it even a bit further, right? So Ethereum exists because of
that's true too,
right? Decred exists because
right.
So all these altcoins exist for. If you actually go back to the genesis of all of this, a lot of it is because people were denied voices in the community, right? And they wanted to play, and they had good ideas, and they actually had developers that were doing things. So
and they wanted to get it onto the Bitcoin blockchain, right. But they were denied that. So of course they go off and start their own thing, right. And luckily they had that option, and it's beautiful to have choices in this industry in any market, but. We could have still had choices, but all these things could have been implemented into Bitcoin, and we could have had a really super powerful crypto.
It still can be.
And it still can be.
Oh,
That's
no.
true.
So, by the way, let's get out of the way that I'm a big believer and I love Bitcoin, right? So it's not that I don't believe in what we're doing here. It's just they lost some opportunity, right? So by trying to keep the sandbox to themselves, they actually made the sandbox smaller than it could have been.
Yeah.
Right. And now, so the thing though is, and I'm going to plug here a little bit, but on one of the big things that Decred also does is it actually is fork resistant. So in a case of a Roger being denied a voice, there's only really two options. And so you accept the vote results, or you pick up your marbles and you leave. So those are the two. So by the way,
and how does that work?
So the because of the voting mechanism, it becomes really, really expensive very, very quickly to keep a chain going that is not part of the main chain.
Oh, okay.
So it essentially dies off very, very quickly because you just cannot get the votes on it.
So you need really hardcore support of this alternative chain.
You need nation-state level funding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you need to show up with billions very quickly to keep it going. So and that's just obviously not going to work.
Right.
So, and that was the idea, was part of the design is to, so once a vote goes through, it is binding, and therefore, everybody has to accept the result, or you sell your stuff and you leave.
And I mean, obviously you implemented this into Decred. Do you see this as a mostly a positive feature of Decred? I mean, are there any sort of, could you play devil's advocate at all? Are there
sure. But I think that is the most critical, one of the most critical features in Decred. So let's go back to Bitcoin. So when we wrote,
we got about a minute, by the way. Just
okay. So when we wrote, when we wrote BTCD, the Bitcoin guys were yelling at us, what if you're not compatible with our stuff? You might create a hard fork, which is pretty laughable right now, right? So they were, they were denying us the playground because we might cause a hard fork. And here we are with, 6, 7 Bitcoins right now, and there's going to be another 50 or 100 by the end of the year.
Probably.
So it's a laughable concept, right? So and they were just basically sandbagging and keeping this sandbox all to themselves.
Yeah, and you see what happens when they do that, and it's unfortunate they've been so intransigent about accepting new ideas and stuff.
How easy is it for someone to start voting, or just people in the community to get involved?
What do you mean in Decred?
In Decred.
So you basically got to start buying tickets and you can start voting. It's relatively simple, and pretty much at this point we've gone through great lengths to making the software quite a bit simpler to use.
I
so
heard it was
if you
very
ask me
easy to use.
Yeah, so if you go back a year, I would have told you, it's still a little hard, but right now it's everybody should be able to.
I'm going to show you one real quick. I'll show you off air.
Okay.
There we go. Or when we come back, or whatever you want to do. So we'll be right back in just a moment after this break.
Are you being harassed by...
Hey, Marco, I had a comment from one of the live streamers over here, and I wanted to see what
Nobody.
your reply would be.
The Michael Mears proven method.
Okay, well, do you want to throw that on there in a second?
Sure.
We also need to talk about your tattoo, man. Did you hear? Yeah. Ken has got an awesome Decred tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so his arms. are
Send us a
covered up.
picture.
So check this out. When I was in Guadalajara, the guy gave me 1,000 smart cash, and it was like $80 then. It's worth 240 something now.
The Michael Mears
But here's the voting.
solution
Here's
for
how you
how to
vote.
debt collectors. Personal
That's it. Like one smart cash is one vote. So whatever you got in your wallet is, you've got more of a vote. And then you just go through and pick what you want and vote on it.
Yeah, that's pretty slick.
So that smart cash.
How much did he give you?
He gave me 1,000 smart cash.
Dang, how much are they
It
worth?
was like $80, and now it's worth 240.
Do you remember who it was? Because I think I might
It's
know
200
them.
The guys from Monkey Coin.
Wait, it's worth a
Emilio.
$250,000?
Yeah, no, $241.
Oh, total.
Yeah.
I thought you meant each one was, and I was like,
No,
oh my
no.
God, dude, he just gave you like $250,000?
Yeah, of course he did.
Well, in Venezuela, their Venezuela is the guy
the
from
Bolivar?
Venezuela.
Yeah, that's probably true.
They're the ones that have the Monkey Coin, the Venezuelan thing.
Oh, your Stellar, it looks like, is worth almost $400, by the way.
Oh, really?
That's not bad.
Oh,
You
wow.
yeah.
That's
I need to dig that out and
that's a
find
pretty
it.
good dinner right there.
Trade it for some Decred.
There you go.
Yeah, I will. If I can get it, definitely. If I can find that in the email and get it out of there, I will trade it immediately.
Yeah, you should.
I don't
dude.
want anything to do
Why not?
with Ripple or Stellar.
No. Well, agreed. Sorry
Like-
that I committed a sin by.
You
You didn't, dude. I'm
You can
telling
talk
you,
about
you're better off not buying it.
No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
100%. I'm right. I go back
so-
and look at how much Bitcoin costs, look at how much Ripple costs, and then do the math on your dividends of Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Private, all the other ones. You definitely made more money not moving your Bitcoin into
Also-
Ripple.
When you just hit open,
if you hit it.
yeah, if you hit open there, it'll generally the opens right up, or vote, and then it gives you the full description of the proposal and all. That's really,
Right.
It's pretty cool.
I'm going to look into that. So
Yeah.
actually, the thing about Ripple that you got to be real careful with is that the community is not friendly. So you get jumped if you say anything ugly about Ripple.
Yeah.
Oh,
And if
really?
you do it on Twitter, man, there's literally an army of people that show up and they basically tear
Yeah.
everything that you say down, and then they tip each other. One Ripple. It's
It's a
pathetic.
circle
Here's,
jerk, basically.
So actually, Ken has also had some experience with that when he jumped the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
We're coming back. We'll talk about that. Bring us back, Rick.
Let's not talk about Ripple.
Let's talk-
Let's talk about Ken's tattoo.
I went to the Ripple meetup in Mexico City, and they had speakers and everything to talk about Ripple. But then when I asked someone to talk about Ripple, no one would talk about Ripple.
Sounds like
Weird.
it.
Yeah,
Are we
They're probably
on or
afraid
off
to.
air?
we're on.
Bring us back, Rick, or are we?
Rick, bring us back.
Rick is in the pot.
We never had the beep that went off air, so I think we're still on air.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Now? Okay. Well, then, if
Assuming.
we're still on air, then welcome back, everybody, to the Crypto Show. We're in our next segment, or the same segment. It's hard to say, but we're on air. Anyway, Danny, I think we are. Well, either way, we got Facebook Live. We're being recorded.
All right.
It's They'll hear us. But Danny, you were asking him about the voting system.
Yeah, about how easy the voting system is. My son is actually doing a lot of research on it, and he loves Decred. And he was telling me actually that the GUI and everything is really, really easy to operate and navigate your way around.
Yeah, so what we did actually, in comparison to actually even from the last time I was here, we have actually brought all the voting portions into the GUI. So now you can actually even pick out your pool in the GUI. You copy paste a single value and you're ready to go. So at that point you can purchase tickets, and then as the votes become available, you can start voting. It is really slick. And actually today I launched. Yeah, let's talk about that. I launched today the beta version of the proposal site. So Politeia.
Cool.
So literally today on my way, right before I came here, I actually brought it all up live, and people can actually start playing with it.
So is this the first press announcement of the beta version?
Yes, really. Yeah, because I put it up on Twitter, but there was not a big deal there. So
the Crypto Show has the scoop.
You have the scoop.
On Politeia, the Decred
proposal
system.
That's
yeah,
right.
That's awesome.
So, and what we're going to go do is actually, so we probably will test it for 1 or 2 days, and then we're actually going to straight test mainnet, because it works on testnet, it'll work on mainnet. So, and there's a couple of, as we call triple X's. So when you write code, you mark code with triple X's, and that means you need to go fix this. So there's now a good 10 or 15 of those that I need to go back and hammer out. But the site, I think, is actually working at this point. So people could start, writing proposals, and then people can start voting on it once the vote is called.
Cool. So like right now, people can start writing proposals.
Well, on testnet, but yes.
Or on testnet. Oh, okay.
So, but it's going to be identical for mainnet.
So would they then just be practice run proposals, or would they actually be real proposals that would get funded on mainnet?
So currently, the way we are thinking, what we're going to go do is we are going to the first ones on testnet are clearly not binding, right? So they're all actually pretty silly, which is fun all in itself. So, but once we go mainnet, the first rounds while we're still in beta are not going to be binding. So, but once we reset the back end for mainnet, then they are going to be binding.
Okay. And so, when do you anticipate that happening?
I really want it to be measured in weeks. So as in
pretty quick then.
Yeah. So within weeks, we need to be able to start voting on this stuff. So, and then the very first iteration, we are only going to tally the votes, and then there's still going to be a human that is going to do the disbursement and all that. And then the next step is going to make it all fully automatic.
Why are you involving humans?
Well,
they're weak and fallible,
and that's why we need to get rid of them.
Okay, Prince Charles. Never mind. No, that's great. And so, actually, do you remember any of the silly proposals on the testnet one?
Well, so somebody wanted ramen on Twitter, so I copied the Twitter out of there and put that up there. So, and everybody voted no on top of it.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Did you vote no to ramen?
Yeah, well, it might have been me actually, with a whole bunch of tickets that it's testnet, right?
Oh, you party pooper.
No, I just copy paste, because the way it actually the voting mechanism works right now, it still requires a CLI, so it's a little bit harder to use. So, but when you do the inventory, you get the command line that you got to type.
He said duty.
I was just thinking the same thing. I almost said something. I'm glad you did. That's so funny.
Oh man,
it was great minds, Danny. Great minds.
So anyway, but then you copy paste the command line, and I might have pasted the wrong one. Sorry, Alan.
Oh, might have accidentally pasted the wrong one.
I do this all day, so it's copy paste, right? So it's
No, fair enough. It makes sense.
It's just whatever comes first.
Right. Well, and is it expensive to vote, or like what would be the current kind of cost to vote or whatever?
So
I forget how that works.
So you have to purchase tickets, and the tickets are what gives you the privilege to vote. So currently a ticket is going for about 80 Decred. So, and I think the price is at about $60 some. So
quite a lot. Wait, so is that $4,800?
Yeah, just about.
Wow.
So, but it's still not $1 million, right?
Well, no, that's true.
Right. So, and you don't have master nodes that rule the network, right? So it's still individuals. So yes, it is expensive, but it's much more accessible.
Yeah, more decentralized than the master node, because you got to have a ton of money to operate those.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the process for voting again? You have to keep restaking it each 28 days. Is that what?
No, it's a bit different. So basically, when you purchase a vote, it is live until it gets called, and once it gets called is when you get your vote reward, and then it disappears. It actually that vote no longer exists. So you get your money back plus your reward. And at that point, you could reinvest that money.
What's a reward look like? I mean,
so at this point is I want to say about 1.3 or 4 decreds per vote. So if you vote 10 times a day, right? That is, a lot of decred.
And so I'm sorry, and I forget, when you buy the tickets, do you get your decred back?
No, not immediately. You stake it. So you put it on the line for the duration of.
Oh, for the 28 days, right?
It's not 28 days per se. It's the average is 28. So the actual value is between 1 day and 4.5 months.
And what determines the timeline there?
So when you solve a block, so when a miner solves the block, the result of that block feeds into a pseudo-random number generator, and that determines who votes. So everybody knows that number at that point, and everybody can determine which votes were the ones that are going to be called, and they can verify that the miner did the job right.
Huh. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but since you brought it up, how does it? Do you know how a pseudo-random number generator works?
Yeah.
Or like, I've always wondered, like, how do they generate random numbers? It just seems almost like impossible to me in my head.
Math.
I don't know anything about math. That's the thing. I don't know anything about the math or the computer science, but like, well, I mean, that's a side topic to probably get wasted going down that path. But
so what pseudo does, though, is that if you have a number, it's always going to generate the same sequence of random numbers after that. So if, let's say, your seed is 10, then the random number would be 11, 0, and 1. Just making it up, right? So then next time you put a 10 in there, you would still get the 0, 11, and 1. Always in that order. So, and that's important because now, even though the values are random, where it starts is not. And with that, you can actually then, everybody can determine at that point which votes are being called. Because they all see that one number, the seed, and that gets fed into the pring, so the PRNG. And that is then what determines which votes are called. So everyone can independently verify that which tickets were used to vote.
Right.
That
so
make
obviously
sense?
that's an important. Yeah,
It's
I think
super
so.
important. Yeah.
On a super basic level, I think it does. But obviously that's really important for the integrity of your system.
Right.
So that's really neat. We got a minute and a half till break. What was I going to ask you? Speaking of the proposals too, has anyone approached you or talked about some of the ideas for proposals that people are considering once it does go like legit?
Sure.
I mean, has that been kind of floated around, or is that?
So, go ahead, Ken.
I was just gonna say, I feel like my proposal may have been the craziest. I got a tattoo.
That's right.
Oh yeah, and I hope you're sending us a picture somewhere of that because I want to see that.
It's
When
all
did you
over
get those
Twitter
tattoos?
and Facebook and stuff and Instagram. I got a few, but yeah, I just recently got that Decred tattoo with Marco actually hanging out in real life. We went to the tattoo shop and we sat down and I got some ink with Mike and Marco, and it was a good time.
Were you here in Austin?
No,
or?
it was actually in Dallas. So during the Dallas conference, I forget the name of that thing.
Oh, the super conference
that
or
one,
whatever.
yeah.
That's really neat. What would you do for me if I got a Decred tattoo?
Well, so we need to put up a proposal for that.
Yeah, submit a proposal.
Wait. What if I submitted a proposal where I gave Danny a Decred tattoo on his butt?
I like it.
Big bag of
That might
French
be
fries.
worth some
All
money.
right.
I might vote on that one.
Yeah.
You mean not a big bag of French fries, but crypto or fry coin, right?
Fry coin.
Bunch of fry coin. All right, we're
Can
coming
the
to break.
logo
We got.
be acne?
I like that. Of course, just a picture of my face with a bunch of pimples
No.
and like rubbing French fries all over, getting the grease in.
Oh.
All right,
That
well,
just went south real.
thank God we're coming to break. Be right back.
I forgot to bring up that question. I don't want to forget
No
to
beef.
ask.
So we're still live. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Do we just treat it as a break, or do we treat it as live, or
I think we should just go live
Yeah.
because we're gonna say things that we shouldn't.
am I right? Wait, Ken, what were you saying? Sorry.
I just had a comment here I wanted to get out to Marco. They said the faster things get implemented on your protocol, the less investor confidence you'll have, and the more centralized your network appears. The reason Bitcoin is so secure is that changes to the protocol are almost impossible.
Huh?
Wait, this was a comment from someone on.
Yeah, on the Twitter. Yeah. So I do not subscribe to that. Let me just put it that way.
to the assertion that it's hard to change and that makes it more secure.
Yeah.
essentially?
So the thing though is that there is some truth to that, but there's more than one. There's more forces at work here.
It seems like there'd be truth on both sides of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like obviously, like if you're too if it's too hard to change the protocol or the network, that can be a bad thing, right? So I mean, it seems like it's context dependent, if anything. I don't know, or what do you think?
So so changing something on Decred at a protocol level requires 75% of the votes to say yes to it, right? So that is a pretty substantial number of votes. So on top of that, the network has signaled already that they understand the new rules. So regardless of what the outcome is going to be, so there's already been some precautions along the way to make sure that the integrity of the vote is going to be upheld. So and then at that point, you just have a very large majority that needs to accept it.
Right.
So
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, and I was going to say, at least with Decred, with its governance system, like, I also think it depends, too, whether you have a governance system versus a centralized group of developers making those decisions. Like, in other words, the assertion that the protocol being difficult to change makes it more secure, I think that also depends on the type of governance structure you have. In other words, whether it's an actual governance structure with voting from the community of holders of the coin or a centralized core of developers. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, so,
like,
yes.
I think that changes the character of the whole thing, really, of whether you change the protocol or not, right? Or
right. Well, but the thing though is that what the Bitcoin folks are saying, and it's not inaccurate, is that even the developers can essentially not change the protocol, right? Because there's too many miners on one side or on the other side, right? And so even for the developers, it's hard to change. But the thing is that now you have personality cult type scenarios, right? So if the famous developers say we're going to go change this, guess what? It's going to happen, right? So they have a disproportionate amount of influence. So even though they're technically right, on a purely theoretical level, reality is always, such a poop, right? Because it always tends to mess things a little bit up, right?
Right.
And I think in Bitcoin it's pretty obvious that they could implement SegWit, right? Eventually. I mean, it happened eventually, and it was because, it got kind of strong-armed through it.
Yeah.
Right. And then 2x didn't go through because actually for the same reason, right? It's because people were,
Hey, Rick, are you there?
The right people were saying no to it, right?
Right. Are you guys ready to go?
Yeah. We've
were
not
we-
had any beeps.
Were we on air just then, or no?
No. Sorry,
Okay.
guys. I was having an issue with the beat tonight. I'll fix it by the next break.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys are going off the air on the breaks. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Just wasn't sure.
Yeah, sorry about that. Danny just texted me. I'll have it fixed.
No big deal.
Okay.
But yeah, bring us back if you would.
So are you going to
Or-
cut that in then?
Welcome back, guys, to the second to last segment of the Crypto Show. And actually, well, we were just having a discussion off air. I don't know. Do we want to quickly bring that back on air?
My
or-
proposal for the Decred tattoo.
By the way, I'm trying to find the tattoo on your Twitter.
Well, it's pretty simple to find that, isn't it?
Yeah, it should just be Decred, Ken Bozak, Decred, or Kenneth Bozak, actually, on Twitter. I'll post it again right now, and I'll tag you guys in the
Oh,
photo.
no, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking in your feed rather than your photos and videos. That's what I'm doing wrong. But I'll find it anyway. But yeah, anyway, we were talking off air. I guess just to quickly summarize for those who were not able to listen to us off air, that there was the statement made that if it's difficult to change the protocol, that's a strength of security or strength of the coin or network. And you assert that's not necessarily the case, and I agree with that.
Yeah, that was the argument that the Blockstream guys gave us long ago about Bitcoin. That was what was so good about it, is that it was so hard to change. But then that caused 3 years of whatever,
and then the fork and everything else, and then of course
resulted in a fork.
And then coming from Blockstream, I mean, nothing against them, but it's like that's not exactly an unbiased opinion, right? So it's like, I don't know. And then, like I was kind of saying, I think it kind of depends on the nature of the governance system, whether it's a true governance system like Decred or Dash, or whether it's a bunch of developers. And don't get me wrong, you're right. Like the developers can get gridlocked or have difficulty coming to a consensus, but it's a lot easier to. I think it's a lot easier to make a community come to consensus through a voting system rather than. In a good way, I should say, than with the developers, because the developers can always be, and I don't mean this in some nefarious way necessarily, but they can always be biased in some way or sort of incentivized to do things or vote in a certain way that goes against the best interests of the community at large.
Well, so that would be actually by definition, in my opinion.
And
so
fair enough.
I mean, like the Bitcoin Core, they're more kind of a politically motivated than by money.
Well, but they also work for a company, right? So now they have a corporate agenda. So one of the counterintuitive things, actually, is when Blockstream picked up all these people, is that these people all of a sudden have an aligned agenda versus a adversarial agenda, which is much healthier for an ecosystem.
That's a good point. It's one thing to sort of have an aligned agenda if the choice before the group is just
which is how Decred was able to implement something like the Lightning Network before Bitcoin ever did, and which is how Dash implemented a 2 megabyte block in 24 hours.
Exactly. It was a very streamlined, smooth, quick process. But just it's one thing if the idea is so compelling and it's obvious that you should go down this path, then everyone's on consensus that way. That's one thing. But when everyone's aligned in their agenda because they all work for the same company, that's a completely different story.
Right.
And that's not necessarily going to result in good outcomes.
And it hasn't, right? So I think we can not argue that last year the SegWit debacle, right, and the various, I mean, at one point there were 17 or 16 different ideas that were pitched out there, and they, and people were yelling and screaming at each other. They had been yelling and screaming at each other for years. Right now we have multiple forks, so I don't think that it was an ideal outcome, right?
No, probably not.
And if you even rewind a year and you the party line a year from now was still hard forks are bad, and now people are calling hard forks governance. I have a slightly longer memory than this, right?
It's ironic that Bitcoin has more altcoins than anyone.
Right.
Yeah. No, I know. It's like the tune has changed 180 degrees over time, and it's
mine hasn't.
Well, no, but yeah,
I'm just saying, right? So because we saw this actually in 2012, 2013 when we were working on in and around Bitcoin, right? This is literally what we saw because this is what we were up against, and people just at this point had enough, right? And here we are.
Yeah.
So and again, the thing that I want to note here though is that Decred voting is actually binding. So the code has already been written, right? So once the vote is tallied, it's going to take action, right? It's going to either activate the code or not.
So when it was tallied, did someone hunt Ken down to give him that tattoo? So, you're taking this tattoo, it's binding.
Basically, what you're saying, it wasn't a tattoo; it was really a brand. Yeah. They held him down and branded him.
No, actually, but this is actually an interesting topic though, because I think there's a little bit of confusion here. So, for example, what Dash does is that they have a signaling system, right? So their voting is not necessarily binding. So Decred, so the Politeia system is very similar to what Dash has done. So it is a signaling system that says we as a community would like this. So it's a wish list. So, but it's not a binding vote, if you will. So let's say you have the best idea and you even get it funded, but you cannot get the code written, right? So it was a great idea and you even had the funding, but your code didn't never get implemented.
But Decred, the code's already there.
That's a proposal. Right, so that when you're voting, that is binding. The code has been written at that point, right? So now you're going to make a consensus change. The code is live; it's just not activated. So once the tally completes, the code is going to either get activated or never get activated.
And who activates it?
The chain. So that is fully automatic. So that's why it's binding, right? And there's no backsies. So once you vote, and it's recorded on the blockchain. So, and again, once you at the tally point, you tally the votes, and if it passes, it passed, done.
And so sorry, but how does that contrast with Dash again?
So Dash is a signaling system.
So then, how does it ultimately in Dash? Then how does it ultimately get implemented?
Well, so then they are going to have to go write the code, and then they're going to test it, and then it's going to eventually make it into the daemon. So but we're going to have that same mechanism, but we're going to use that for marketing budgets, right? Also similar to what Dash does, right? And that is, hey, we want to go to consensus. That costs real money, by the way. So we need, I don't know, I'm just making something up, like probably 1,000 Decred to go to consensus with everything paid. So is the community okay that we are going to spend 1,000 Decred on this? And if the answer is no, right, so that is a signal from the community saying, no, we don't want you to guys go spend that. So we'd obviously honor that, right? But this is not a consensus change, right? This is not a hard rule change. So it's a much simpler vote, if you will. And if we want to talk about code, so let's say you do want to make a consensus change. So in the future, you're going to have to write a proposal with the consensus change in it. And then somebody is going to have to write the code. And then once the code has been written, then it needs to be put into the daemon. And then it actually will go up for a hard vote. So you might have actually written the code and it doesn't get activated. That is a real possibility.
That would suck.
Well,
but that's just part of it.
That is part of it.
Just like, you might submit, you might have to put up money for a proposal and it may not get accepted and you lose that money. That's just part of the game.
That is part of it. But it's inherent, right? So, but part of actually coming up with these proposals is going to shop your idea, right? You need to go say, hey, I really want to add this feature. And by the way, getting the signal from the community that it was accepted as a good idea to actually go develop it, you already have, at that point, based on the amount of voting you get, where this is going, right? Was it a good or was it a bad idea, right? So if you passed a vote with 51%, maybe not, right? that might be cutting it too close. But if you get a 90%, okay, then there's a pretty reasonable chance that you're going to pass in the binding vote. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wait, so remind me, the binding vote, though, is 75%?
Yep.
Right, minimum for anything?
For anything.
Okay.
So a quorum of 10% and then 75% needs to be reached.
Wow. But yeah, I think ultimately that is a better thing because you want as much of the community on board as possible.
Right.
With any change. And 75%, the 25% who disagree, ultimately, there's no perfect voting system.
There is not. There's no somebody's going
to be unhappy. Is basically what I'm trying to say. But I think under that system that you use, I think most people are going to be happy no matter what. And some things aren't even that contentious necessarily.
Well, so actually, that is also, I think, part of the Bitcoin debate here, right? So Bitcoin, everything is contentious because you have a guy that's against it, has 10 sock puppet accounts, right, on Twitter, yells at everybody like, this is the worst idea ever, right, blah, blah, blah. Bunch of noise, bunch of screaming. But ultimately, it's a guy, right, that is unhappy about something. And I think that if actually Bitcoin had a methodology to vote, that this actually would be nearly not as contentious as people think it is.
Could Russia use Facebook and Twitter to manipulate the voting on Decred?
Well, you can obviously go try to convince other people, right? But in the end, it's you with your crypto in a booth, right? Pulling that lever.
Yeah, I like that. All right, well, we'll come back for the final segment with Ken Bozak and Marco Peerboom.
Through advances in technology,
we need to get Ken in here now.
Beep. Yeah.
Yeah, Ken.
It's the
let's
Russians.
Get him to talk about how he did his proposal and everything for the tattoo.
Oh, okay, yeah, great idea.
Well, that was really not the proposal. That one was a backhand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying somebody could submit a proposal.
Right.
Yeah, guys, this is awesome.
Red jacket.
I would like to talk a little bit about the partnerships in the works. I've been seeing some Decred Brazil posts I can't read in English, and it looks to be good.
Oh, it's awesome, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when we get back on air,
Are they in Portuguese or?
They are in Portuguese, but I happen to speak Portuguese.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No, but we need to get Ken in here, and I think we should actually Ken. So should we talk about the decentralized art show?
Yeah.
In the Decred jacket, which is a thing.
God, look how young I look back then. It's only 7 years ago.
Easy to understand.
Look at that. I didn't have any gray hair.
Tom Woods. Oh my! He got mad at me because I called him a midget.
People tend to get mad.
Well, midgets think that's the derogatory term, so they don't like when they call him that.
Well, I first met him at during 2012 on one of the thing on 6th Street for Ron Paul.
Oh,
Ron
yeah.
Paul came, it's a big festival thing, and he was speaking there. And I said, well, I didn't say midget.
You just say midget.
Well, well, any reference to his height was probably a bad idea.
He's only like this tall, man.
No, he's short.
Yeah.
Tactics and much more. Please visit ruleoflawradio.com.
So have you guys heard about
toll free 866.
what do you call it? The Decred jacket?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What do you mean?
The one you had at the.
Yeah, so-
I think I put it on at the.
Oh, that's
party
right. Yeah,
over
yeah.
there,
We have a picture of that. Yeah. But you have not seen it. So it's a real thing. So we had this really shiny.
It's a satin Decred jacket.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
And-
want to get one.
See? And everybody is all over the damn thing. So there's even a Twitter handle Decred jacket. And
How much are they?
Crypto Emporium is selling them for way too much money. But
Oh, really?
like 3 or 4 Decred. So
Ooh.
yeah,
Well-
like $200.
I mean, that for a nice jacket, that's actually.
It's not great quality.
No.
Definitely not worth that money.
No, it looks like a soccer mom jacket.
Yeah, so it was a
Oh,
gag. It was a gag. It is hilarious, and you get a lot of attention even on the street. People will literally stop you. And so, can you wear that thing, right? You have.
Oh
yours?
yeah, no, I wear it. People, I want to get embroidered on the back. Ask me about Decred, but yeah, I get asked about the jacket all the time. People think it's like a business or something. Like, so is that like your work jacket? I'm like, no, I don't work for Decred, but I mean, this is, Then we get into the conversation.
That's funny. Well, actually, we're coming back, so let's get into that and other stuff on air. Bring us back, Rick. Welcome back, everybody, to the final segment of the Crypto Show. I'm talking with Marco Pierboom and Ken Bozak. And that's cool. I like that little bunny. Is that like one of those Easter candy things?
Yeah, it was.
That's hilarious. Get your Decred jacket, folks.
You got to get your Decred jacket. Here's another picture of the Decred jacket.
Oh, that is pretty cool. Wait, is it the yeah? Oh, that is cool. That is kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
I love those shiny blue.
It's warm. I'll give it that. In winter, it keeps you warm.
Oh, it does, because it does not breathe at all. It is very 1970s.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Throwback.
It's fashionable art. It's art that you can wear.
It is art.
I'm down with that. So is Marco's beard.
See, I like that. So we got to talk about the beard.
I want a Decred beard. You should somehow dye it or.
A Decred beard, yeah. Dye one of each side a different shade so you can have the Decred colors.
So I can do blue and green.
There
I like
you go.
that, actually.
Even Paul Snow has a Decred jacket.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's funny. Where was that taken?
Actually, the Bitcoin meetup, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So
cool. I need to go. I haven't been in a long time.
It's actually pretty fun. So there's a lot of noobs that have been going. I want to say like about 50 people show up. 50.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, in December it was like 150 people. It was ridiculous.
Is it still at Central Market or?
No, it's now at the Baby Ace.
It was a Baby Ace.
Oh yeah, because you were going when you were here last. That's right. I keep forgetting you were telling me about that. I need to make it at some point.
It's pretty fun.
If only for the purple margaritas.
Well, and those are there.
Yeah. Is it still Tuesdays, right?
Yep, Tuesdays.
Well, there you go.
Started at 7. And so it's Paul's. So Paul is the one who organized it.
Right.
So.
Well, if you're listening, guys, and you're local, it's Tuesdays, Baby Acapulco's at the Arboretum or Gateway, technically. 7. Be there.
Yep. And I'm there most of the time, so I can bore you to tears about Decred.
And maybe you can have Marco will be selling some Decred jackets. So there you go.
Yeah.
And high school kids will come and interview you and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, actually that happened.
Did that happen? Or
Yeah.
I hooked him up.
Absolutely.
He interviewed me first, and then I took him to you.
He was serious.
Did he just
got it
show
under
up
control.
and like?
No, a kid from the local high school came to the Bitcoin meetup and wanted to interview people about Bitcoin.
That's really neat.
So that he could talk to his school about it.
Right.
I want to talk to that kid now.
Oh yeah, and he was super organized. Actually, you know what? Remind me tomorrow, Ken. I'll send you his email.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He was super
Thank
organized, and he had good questions. He was really prepared. I really enjoyed that. Actually,
Some of them were a little too good. Like,
he
wanted to know about your parents and all kinds of stuff. Like,
what?
Yeah, some of it was a bit personal.
That's a bit probing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you as the most mysterious man in crypto cannot talk to him.
No, I mean, because he would try to. There's things he would ask that I'd probably have to kill him for. You know,
so
I'm sorry.
You can do
just
that.
International crypto man of mystery. Just there's certain things you can't expose to the light of truth.
That's right.
Thank you. I kind of like that. I have this mystique now. I'm gonna start using that. That's really neat, though. Yeah. I wish more kids would do that. You know, just be interested in crypto like that. I got to come to those meetups. I'll start doing that hopefully.
So we got to bring Ken actually to one of these meetups. So
yeah, I got to move to
Ken.
Austin. I just have to move to Texas. Everything is calling me to Texas, man.
It is. It's better weather. It's better Texas. Food. It's
come to Texas.
Yes. Listen to the voices in your head.
Yeah, no, for real. I have a lot of friends down there. I visited Texas probably 4 times now for cryptocurrency events. That's a lot of flying since I've literally never been on a plane except for Bitcoin.
Wow, really?
Yep. I've only ever traveled for crypto, and I've probably been on over 20 to 30 airplanes by now.
Are you like me where you're afraid of flying?
Oh, I hate it. I get super relaxed before I leave the house and get on an airplane.
Not. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, it's a 420 thing with him.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, the TSA always gives me an extra sniff as I walk
through. Where's the drum roll? That was pretty good. Yeah, that was Danny's best tonight.
So, Marco, I wanted to talk a little bit about some Decred partnerships. What is the project partnershipping with? What are you guys looking to partner with? We got, Verge and Pornhub, and we got basic attention tokens and the Dow Jones. What is the partnerships that Decred's looking for or looking to make, or something that's in the making already?
Well, so obviously there's certain things going behind the scenes that I'm not allowed to talk about. Well, so that said, though,
listening.
No, so but no, I'm pretty careful about that, and I just don't want to expose anybody here, so I won't. But the thing though is that as everybody knows, for example, getting listed on exchange is a very expensive thing.
And you've told us about that before. Yeah man.
So yeah, it is crap. So and actually, Decred at this point is actually large enough that we actually are actively no longer playing. So we've had exchanges say, yeah, so why don't you give us $1 million, 10,000 or 100,000 Decred, and then you got to buy my token, their exchange token, an X amount. So, and the answer to that is at this point, yeah, really no, I don't think so, right? So, so we have been actively trying to not participate in those types of partnerships. So, yeah, so we're just we are not
burned too much.
No, we have not been burned. It's just we don't believe in this, right? So the way we look at our treasury is for development and interesting things, right? And basically paying ransom to be listed on an exchange, I don't think so. So this is the people's money, right?
Let's have the community demand the coin be listed on the exchange. I am
working on something to get you listed on exchanges in Mexico. Should that happen?
So that is a partnership that I am personally interested in.
So yeah, the building project I'm working on, that's in Mexico, and I'm actually working on a government building. It's a senior citizen center, and in 6 months' time, Mexico is going to decide which coins will be allowed on the exchanges. It's called the white list. Mm-hmm. And I think that anybody who's involved in what we're doing in building a government building will definitely have their foot in the door, at least, to be looked at as one of the ones that should be accepted onto the exchange.
I would think so.
So I do want to talk to you about that, Danny, but off air. Okay. So and actually, by the way, I want to say one thing about Danny, what he's been doing in Mexico, and it's pretty incredible. So he is, boots on the ground and actually doing work on, on relief. Mm-hmm. Through a pretty big disaster, and that's nothing but respect, and it's admirable that people actually do that. So thank you, actually, Danny, for doing that type of stuff. Absolutely. And I really would like for Decred to help out with that building. I really do, but again, we are bound by some community rules that we got to play by.
Okay.
Well, let's see what y'all can maybe work out off air, and
we'll put them.
Hopefully, get you involved.
Put it to the community.
And that's and that will be an easy debate at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that the site isn't live yet is really the issue at hand.
Ah, okay. Right. Oh, the site for putting it to the community,
right?
Plus, in Spanish, the word Decred means awesome.
That does mean awesome.
So you really want to.
That is so
awesome.
Well, we got a little less than 4 minutes left.
So I think when you talk about that Decred jacket, Ken,
yes,
you worn it. Tell me what happens when you wear that jacket when you.
Well, obviously, people are staring, and every once in a while you get people with the confidence to ask, "What the heck are you wearing? And do you work for that? Is that your job? Like, what are you doing?" Stuff like that.
Do women come and touch you? Touch your jacket?
Oh no, for sure.
Like
People want to get
women?
pictures with me with the jacket just because it's a shiny blue, pretty jacket. So I get that a lot. It complements the beard. Having the beard plus the jacket totally gets the whole selfie craze around you. So yeah, it's really fun to have it on. People like to try it on and take pictures in it and stuff, and it really opens the door for the conversation. And it's a different type of icebreaker. You know, it's a kind of comical. It's a more of a relaxing way to start a financial conversation rather than, do you know that the banks are screwing you and the U.S. dollar is going down the toilet? You want to talk about Decred? It gets them a little bit into a different, comfort zone to talk about this, and it's fun to do that, and walk around in the Decred jacket. I got my Decred hat on, and people ask about it out of nowhere. They'll stop me walking, through through the mall or something, or down the street, and be like, "Hey, what's that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, now I'm in a conversation." So it's a really cool conversation piece for sure.
No, absolutely. It's such an eye catcher. Like, I'm really getting more and more inclined to get one myself.
So actually, so one of the partnerships we do have is we really wanted to get listed on Crypto Emporium. They sell high-end stuff anywhere in the world. You pay in crypto and you get whatever delivered. I mean, we're talking about from BMWs, Teslas. Literally, you can buy an island with Bitcoin.
So it's like Hermes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. So super high-end stuff. And we really wanted to get listed by them. So, and we cut that deal was you guys get the Decred jacket for, exclusively for a period of time. So they are the only ones that are selling the Decred jacket. So if you want to go,
so I have to go through them for.
Yeah, you have to go to Crypto Emporium and send them some Decred. Oh, you can actually buy it in any coin. So they have Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all that. But that's where they are available at this point. So, but that was a very simple one, by the way. So nobody lost any money here, right? So we just said, okay, you get the jacket, exclusively for a couple of months, and they listed us for that. So you don't always have to pay $1 million.
Well, no, and you shouldn't have to really. And like Danny and Ken, I think were saying, like, let the community demand it to the point where.
Well, so it gets voted on, then yes, right? But right now, it would basically be us, the developers, making that call and basically go spending their money, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying spend the money at all. I'm saying we demand the exchange list the coin for free. We demand it as users of the exchange, and we want to trade Decred.
Sure. Oh yeah, sure.
Right. That's what I was, exactly.
Well, I don't want to pay them, man. I don't like that whole pay to play, get on our exchange thing. I want to see decentralized exchanges flourish because of these paywalls.
Well, actually, we got 30 seconds.
Okay, so let me talk about the 30 seconds. So one of the first proposals is actually going to happen is come from Company Zero. So the one that actually originated Decred is going to be for a decentralized exchange. And I'm talking about actually decentralized, where people are trading P2P. So there's no middlemen. Nobody can sit on your money
with atomic swaps.
With atomic swaps, which we also wrote, by the way, of course. So, but that's how we would implement it.
Awesome. Well, guys, it's been fun. Marco Peerboom and Ken Bozak. Thanks, guys.
Have a day.
We'll see you guys next time.
And we got the beep.
We finally got the beep. Yeah.
So you guys
y'all should have had the beep on the last break too.
I don't. We did it on the last break.
Y'all did. Hey, Danny, did you see my text earlier this afternoon? Okay, all right, good. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, when I see Cody, I'll ask him about that.
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, sounds good.
All right.
So Marco, what's going on with those wallets? How's Edge and Ledger or stuff like that looking?
We're off the air, right?
Oh, hold on, I'm streaming on my end. Give me 1 sec. Turning off. Stop.